All right, it's time for another edition of Frank Walks. You know, today's guest does not need an introduction. It's Big Cat, you know. It's been 1 year since his great office opened in Chicago, and I want to catch up with him, see what he's doing, see how his schedule's doing. It's the busy season, it's football season. As we check in with Big Cat and learn just how much Chicago's growing and how to bridge this gap between New York and Chicago and show you that we are the same team. So let's go for a walk. And as always, Frank Walks is powered by Body Armor. Let's get inside.
Let's do it, Frank. Excited.
Yes. You know, we're reaching an anniversary now.
Oh.
Yes, it's been now 1 year since this grand office opened in Chicago.
Yes.
And I've come back here and now every couple of months.
We always love when you're here. You know you always have an open invite.
And it's impressive.
Thank you.
It's impressive. It's what has it been like getting back to Chicago and opening this dream office up?
It's been awesome. It's you know, it's like everything is a dream. I have the best job in the world. It's also been a lot of stress, to be honest, just because we've been in a weird transition at Barstool where, you know, Dave is not around as much, and I've been kind of thrust into more of a leadership role, and I don't love that part of it, but it also is needed where, you know, I like doing my shows, I like creating content. I don't like being a boss. I'm not really their people's bosses, but I don't like being in that spot. But I also know that people look to me for advice and help and all that kind of stuff. So it's been a mixed bag in that respect, but in terms of the actual office, it's been incredible.
I mean, it's football season, so football season is the busy season. You got college, you got the NFL. Every Sunday you're streaming 10 hours sometimes.
Yeah, the football season kills me. When I die early, it's going to be like, what was the cause of death? It was probably football. I wouldn't trade it for anything, but yeah, it definitely grinds me down and wears me out more than any other part of the year.
I mean, all year it's busy. You got good streams, and you have March Madness. I'd say probably your lightest season is probably summer. Wouldn't you say that?
Yeah, it's like July and August, but even August we're kind of ramping up. June and July is nice, but yeah, it's football season. It's where we make our money. I mean, it's where like the most content gets produced. So it's not easy, but I find a way to manage it. Again, it's like you know, Frank. Like we have a dream job.
Oh,
so
it is.
No one ever
crazy.
wants to hear us complain about working. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of, like right now we're doing this on a Monday. I probably slept about 4 hours last night. But again, I got to watch football with my friends in the gambling cave. You were there.
Yeah,
it was great having you back.
Truthfully, sometimes, even though sometimes I might feel like a bother, you know, these streams are a fantasy camp.
Yeah, right. It's essentially like when I leave my house on Sunday mornings, and my kid's like, oh, you're going to work, you're going to go watch TV with your friends. It's like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to go watch TV with my friends and lose a lot of money gambling, but that's part of the job too.
I got to say, in my 4 years of full-time at Barstool, my favorite month was October.
Yeah, it's the best.
I
gotta ask you a question.
Met run.
Yeah, that was incredible. I'm sorry that it came short, but I feel like you, during this Mets run, you were happier than I've seen you in a long time. And were you, like, was that a season that you can be like, because I know it's kind of loser talk to be like, you know, if you don't win it all, but sports, I mean, look, how many championships have you seen?
I've seen one Mets championship.
Right. So, like, every year we do this with our teams, and 99 out of 100 times our teams don't win it all. So can you look back and be like, that was a fun, fulfilling Mets season?
Yes, I can.
And it could have been. It could be the start of. Like, remember 2015 when the Mets beat the Cubs in the NLCS? That was an incredible Cubs season. That was a season where I was like, they're building something. I didn't know they were going to win the next year, but it felt like we were on the precipice.
I have that feeling now for the Mets. I haven't had that feeling in a long time. The Mets always have these runs and then they screw something up.
Yeah, that's awesome though that you have that feeling. There's no better feeling than that hope and promise of, and I mean, and Lindor is like, he's a bona fide star.
He like clicked this year.
Yeah.
Something clicked and made him a different player.
Yeah. That was now were you celebrating in the Yankees loss? Do you hate the Yankees like some of the other Mets guys?
No. I'm not going to be one of those guys because I don't like the Dodgers either, so.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, so it's not one of those situations where I'm going to revel in the Yankees loss. Though I will say this. The way they went down in Game 5, that
was awesome.
That collapse, that was bewildering. And of course, you know who I was sitting next to?
Yeah, Mike Francesa. That was an incredible stream. I watched the whole stream. That was awesome.
I mean, that was crazy. And of course, his son, Harrison, was such a great intern this summer. I mean, for my money, the best intern ever.
Yeah, that was a great month of content for the New York office. All those streams, I was watching every single one. It was awesome.
I mean, it was fun. It was exciting. Now, all this streaming stuff now, what would you say is your favorite part of it?
Okay. Favorite part of my job overall?
Yes.
I like that turn. These guys do a good job. I still love talking ball on PMT. The nice thing is, I like doing all the shows. They're all a little different, and they all kind of help each other. Like Pro Football Show gets me a little sharper for PMT. Advisors is obviously so much fun because it's Stu. But yeah, I mean, PMT and the Yak, because I've said, and this wasn't intentional ever, but it's a yin and a yang that's very nice, where it's like, part of my take is obviously sports, and then the Yak is just whatever, like hanging out. So it's not, very rarely is it sports. So it kind of fills both sides of what I'm looking to talk about. But part of my take is will always be the bread and butter, and it's the money maker, and it's the thing that allows us to do all the other things. So and there's something about like just sitting down with PFT and Hank and Max and Memes and all the guys, and just, I love talking about sports, whether it's my team or other teams. It's always fun and it's always fulfilling. I don't think the great thing about part of my take is sports are the greatest reality show, and the season's always, like when you get tired of talking about one sport, it's the next sport's up.
It's like the seasons always change.
Right. So it just keeps you fresh in that respect, where it's not like doing the same podcast over and over. And you know,
like with me, the Dolphins. Like someone said, the Dolphins could come back like the Mets had. I gave the speech and say, Grimace is not walking through that door.
No, you don't have a Grimace. There's no South Florida Grimace.
There's no South Florida Grimace. Now,
I know. I feel bad for the Dolphins.
Besides your podcasting, all the content you produce, you've come up with some brands. Part of my Cheesesteak,
Yep.
Stella Blue.
Yep.
How are those doing these days?
Good. Part of my Cheesesteak is doing really well. It kind of runs itself. Stella Blue takes a little bit more of my time and effort, but it's another thing that's fulfilling. I mean, we're giving back to dogs. Obviously, it's, I wanted to do something that not only gave back, but also in my head, and this is, probably a pipe dream, but like something that, someday in 20 years from now, I could potentially, give to my kids, and my kids could run a brand if it's successful. Because, I'm not going to tell my kids to go be podcasters. So, but that was kind of my thought behind it. Is like, I want to give back to Paws Chicago because Stella has been such an important part of my life. And I also want to create something that could potentially live past me, and something that my kids could have if, they ever wanted to get into that business side.
Now, I see you make coffee. I'm not a coffee drinker.
Yeah.
Ever think about Stella Blue iced tea or something like that?
We could try iced tea. People ask me to do decaf, and I always say not over my dead body. I can't do decaf. But yeah, iced tea would be interesting. We should look into that.
I mean, that would be a great brand. Now, what do you have coming up in the next few months?
In the next few months, I mean, it's football season. It's Super Bowl. and then we'll take a little reset. I'm turning 40.
40, ooh, big
Yeah,
4-0.
turning 40. I can't believe it. I'm an old man.
Well, I'm almost 10 years ahead of you. I'll be turning 49
Wow.
next week. So I got one more year before I'm in my 50s.
Do you think, because I'm getting a little in my head about turning 40, I think I still got a few years left of good stuff, but I definitely also, it is a young man's game, and it's not lost on me. I don't want to be the old guy who everyone's like, oh, he sucks. So it definitely gets in my head, and 40 is the first time where I'm like, oh shit. All right, I'm 40. Like I don't know how many more. We'll call it 5 years, 7 years. I don't know how many more years I got in me.
But from my perspective, I'm 40. I'm almost 49, and I've probably never been in better shape with the Frank walks.
You look great.
I mean,
how much you got? So much more energy, I'd assume.
Yes.
Yeah.
My heaviest I was over 500 pounds.
Jeez.
Now I'm my last weigh-in I was 318.
Well, anytime you want to come to Chicago, we love having you here. I say that to everyone. You're one of the people who takes me up on it, but moving from New York to Chicago, obviously, like there's a lot of people in New York that I miss hanging around every day. Obviously Roan I'm very close with, and there's, I love Tommy Smokes comes out here once a week for advisors, Rico, a bunch of these people that I miss having them around.
I feel it's good to have two strong pillars, New York, Chicago.
Yeah.
I think keeping New York strong is a goal of mine.
Well, I mean, it's always, I said it when we first moved here, and I know that people, you can't listen to the commenters and people online. Like, we're still one company. And
yes.
I said it to everyone here the first day. I was like, look, this isn't a rivalry. We're not, the New York success is our success. If New York fails or if Chicago fails, that's bad for New York. If New York fails, that's bad for Chicago. Yeah, so it's like we're all still working for the same company, the same brand. And you guys have so many successful things going on in New York that it's like, it's stupid to, but that's also the internet. The internet's always going to make it a rivalry. There's nothing you can do about that.
It's ridiculous. I mean, we had that trial last week for Tate.
That was quite something. I tried to stay as far out of that as possible. But yeah, that was quite something. But yeah, anytime we have streams, you want to come, more than welcome. I mean, I wish the Dolphins were a little bit better.
Yeah, I have officially checked out this season.
That's official?
Yep.
Officially official.
Officially official.
You know what, Frank? I think I've checked out of the Bears season too. And they're 4-4, and I've checked out.
Well, the Dolphins are 2-6, and I saw an article that the Dolphins are desperately trying to trade Adipese. They shouldn't be buying; they should be selling. And
I agree. I was saying trade Jalen Waddle.
I would.
Yeah,
I would.
We should GM this. Oh, they're giving us. All right, so who's I got to ask you one last question. Who's the next big white whale dream guest on
we're
Frank
trying
Walks?
for many. I want to get Stephen Cohen of the Mets if he ever forgives me.
Wait, how's that relationship now?
He's still blocking me, but I think
no.
maybe there's signs of thawing. Of course, Dan Marino.
Dan Marino's a tough one. We interviewed him on Part My Take. He didn't really like us.
Well, hopefully he'll like me. I'm different. Charles Barkley, we got a lot of people we're trying to get. And as we grow, I think we'll get bigger guests. Martin Brodeur, that's a dream guest.
Well, you let me know anyone I can help get, because I love watching these, and I love, it was awesome seeing you with J.J. Watt and SVP. So anyone I can
Fitzpatrick,
help with.
Fitzpatrick worked. That was a great walk.
But anyone I can help you with, I'd be more than happy to.
Well,
yeah. Jenks just asked how I keep the energy with all the shows going, and I'll be honest, it's not easy sometimes, because there are definitely days where I don't feel like I have
and
it.
I know you've been going through some little physical malady
kidney
right now.
stones, not fun. I think the key is there's two things. One is you got to always remember that we have a dream job, and like I said at the beginning of this, no one wants to ever hear us complain about working, so that's important. And then the other thing is I view Barstool and what we do and the shows we put out is like, you can't have an A+ show every show. Every show can't be the greatest thing that you've ever done, because otherwise, you can't be like, that was the funniest show ever. The hope is, if you consistently put good stuff out there, you will have the A+ shows, but the B shows are okay as well. So that's kind of my thought process behind it, where it's like, don't put the pressure on yourself. I think a lot of people at Barstool sometimes put the pressure on themselves, like, I got to put out a show that is like side-splitting funny from start to finish. No, that's not true.
I think sometimes with content, people try to overthink it.
Right.
And they end up paralysis by analysis.
Yeah, just be yourself and hope that the body of work over time speaks for itself, where it's like, we deal with that in the Yak. The Yak's a 2-hour live show every day. Is every Yak going to be the funniest Yak ever? That would be insane. Like, you couldn't do that. It's basically, let's put together a good show, and there'll be a couple moments every day that people can look back at and be like, that was very funny. And then every now and then we'll have a show that's like, holy shit, start to finish, that was incredible. And those are the ones that you love. But then you also have to, when you do have a show that's incredible, or you put together a great interview, it's always the next one. The big piece with this job is, like, you can't sit. If you have you do a Frank's Walks with JJ Watt, you can't be like, all right, we're done, we're good for the month.
Yeah.
It's the next one.
We're looking for the next one. We're always looking for the next one.
Right.
And like the streaming, I love you talking about how New York streams were going good. I hate to say this, but I love that Hail Mary reaction.
That killed me.
Like
that killed
PFT,
me.
just like,
I know, he was going nuts. That killed me, and I knew. You could tell while we were watching it when Jaden Daniels was scrambling around. I think I said on the stream, I was like, this is bad. This is really bad. Because a Hail Mary, when a guy gets that, like, when he breaks that, like, 10-second mark of running in the backfield, you just know disaster's coming. And that's what happened.
Well, thank you for joining us. Big things coming up, so stay tuned. Watch the Yak, watch the PMT, watch everything.
Watch Frank Walks.
Watch Frank Walks.
You're the best, Frank.
Thanks for joining
I love
us.
you as always. You're the best.